Hello and welcome to the Perth to Paisley Podcast. This is episode number 34, or is it 33, or is it 32? Because to be honest, you could just play back those two episodes and you'd get the exact same kind of chat from us, as Hearts have recorded their third consecutive 1-1 draw in the Scottish Championship. I am one of your hosts, Daniel McIver, and as ever, I'm joined by the happy-go-lucky, really excited for this, Adam Kennedy. Adam, how are you doing?
I'm absolutely fantastic, mate, after that intro. Thank you very much indeed for the kind welcome. I think we're just sort of becoming numb to the inevitable excitement turned disappointment that a Friday night fixture involving Heart and Midlothian Football Club brings. So what about you? How's your wee Stephen Presley?
See, this is the thing. So, to folk who haven't seen on my Twitter, if you don't have Twitter or if you just haven't seen it, I, in between the last episode and this episode, now have a pet snake, and Adam was very quick, and many other Hearts fans, Robert Borthwick, I'm speaking to you, were very quick to be, so your love for Stephen Presley has got to such levels that you've even got a pet one. So, first of all, no, he's not called Stephen or Presley or Elvis. He's doing very well. If you do follow me on Twitter, you'll have seen last night he thought my thumb was a mouse and it took me 5 minutes to get him off. But apart from that, it's going great, and he provides far more entertainment than Heart of Midlothian currently do.
Well, that's a consolation at least. That's
true. Yeah. I can watch him instead of the games.
Can I come round?
Yeah, sure. Come on, I'll get everybody round. It'll be class. However, that's a good segue, because there is still ways for you to communicate with Hearts fans, even if it is just going, this is rubbish, isn't it? And it is the Big Hearts Talk of the Toon calls. Still doing them, still going really successfully. We've started to see kind of a trend of regulars starting to come in, which is great, but obviously we're always welcoming to new people as well. If you fancy it, just having a laugh, having a chat about Hearts, but also just having a chat about anything. Adam, how have you been finding them this past week?
Yeah, great, mate. Like I say, it's a decent wee release, and I think it's the type of thing that you sort of take for granted, but you're really appreciative of. So, yeah, it's only once they're done, you're like, I really enjoyed that. So make sure you get yourselves along, and like you say, it can be discussing literally anything, which is the best bit. It doesn't have to be about Hearts, although it's a decent case of therapy to try and get your Hearts-related anger off your chest.
Absolutely. So all the information is in the description of the podcast, or you can go to Big Hearts on Facebook, Twitter, and their website for all the information. However, we do have to speak about a Hearts game, sadly. I've kind of forgotten most of it, but Hearts did travel up to the Highlands on Friday night for their last game in February, and their third of 4 that was on the BBC cameras. They've not been a good omen for us. However, we went up there in what has been dubbed the friendliest match in the Scottish Pyramid, as of course Hearts fans and other fans sold just under 10,000 virtual tickets to the game. As we mentioned last week, obviously John Robertson did unfortunately have to miss it due to family grievances. However, Neil McCann stepped in the dugout. Robbie Nielsen was also not in the dugout, as he was kind of serving his second ban of his touchline ban. And I think that's the most exciting aspect about the game, the fact that neither manager was pitch side to see it. But a big thing happened, and that Robbie Nielsen named an unchanged side, Adam.
Yes, he did. I was startled. I couldn't quite believe it. I think I was listening to you talking there, and you say that you don't remember most of it. That makes 2 of us, and to be honest, I don't think you can blame us, because it was yet another drab, understandard Hearts affair. So no, just what is it about our incapability to perform on live television, bar last season's Scottish Cup?
And we beat Dundee 6-2, opening game of the season.
And that.
That feels like 10 years ago, doesn't it?
That feels like a lifetime ago.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. However, yes, we did get into the game, and in predictable fashion, Hearts went down pretty early to a goal that was scored by Miles Storey in the most predictable Miles Storey way possible. How did you see that opening kind of 10 minutes, including the Inverness goal?
Well, even sort of the team, I don't know, it just... Can I be honest? My annoyance came from the team first of all. I find it...
Well, you got into an argument, didn't you? And I had to put out fires again.
No, I'd like to think it was a discussion between myself and Robert Borthwick. But I find it absolutely incredible that Robbie Neilson berates how poor we were in front of goal against Morton at Tynecastle, yet chooses the exact same starting 11 to take to the field against, in my eyes anyway, a harder opposition. I just can't get my nut round that at all. I mean, we scrape a draw against Morton thanks to the introduction of Big Nando, who crosses for the goal, and the goal scorer himself, Jamie Walker, and yet neither start. I also found it, incredible that I criticised Stephen Naismith's inclusion, and yet he was absolutely anonymous for large parts of the match. So how can a regular working class jambo from Pennycook like myself see that, but not the Heart Midlothian manager? In terms of the goal, I mean, it's not great. It's a pretty aimless ball, to be honest, from James Keatings, and it's a weak header from Michael Smith. Craig Halkett's nowhere near covering, and then Miles Storey, it's a decent finish past the all-rushing Craig Gordon, but my frustration was evident, before kick-off.
Well, I was firmly Team Robert Borthwick in this argument. I will say that now.
There's a shock. Go on.
Yep, absolutely. But it made no sense to start Walker.
Why not?
Because he's been shit whenever he started.
And Stephen Naismith hasn't.
No, I wouldn't have started either of them.
What would you have gone for?
I would have went McInnes in the 10, Herring and Irving.
But then Big Pete's drafted in from the cold a bit, is he not? I don't know.
Right?
No, well, this is the thing. I don't know what he's got to do to start either. But in terms of what, and we'll obviously talk about Saturday later on, I'm now starting to get to the stage where I've talked about Nandwile starting. Could Boyce slot in behind him if we're so persistent with a 4-2-3-1?
Well, this is the thing. I don't think they will work together in a 4-2-3-1 because I know Nandwile, and my thoughts on Nandwile have been very outspoken. He's now played 5 games, got 4 goal contributions. He's had a very good start. But I don't think you drop Boyce in that role as being the complete forward for a guy that's just come in. I know he's done well when he's come in, but I think Boyce has been our best player. Boyce has now played 16 games and got 15 goal contributions, 11 goals, 4 assists. I don't think you drop Boyce. People are going to get sick and tired of hearing it, and I'll go more in depth into it later.
I know what's coming. I know what's coming here. Is it a random formation that we've not played so far this season, bar one game in the League Cup against Wraith Rovers at home?
Maybe it is, right?
There's
Maybe it is.
That
random formation worked the only time we've ever played it.
Brilliant. I knew that was coming. What's that? That must be less than about 10 minutes on the clock, and we've managed to have some 3-5-2 propaganda.
But it's because it's going to get less and less. In about 4 weeks' time, it's going to go, hello, welcome to this podcast. Play 3-5-2. That's what's going to end up happening.
I'm not even sure what I want formation-wise, but I would like 2 up top.
Because that's the thing. The only way I want 2 up top is in a 3. I don't want a 4-4-2 because I just don't think we have the players for it.
And I've got a team in mind for Saturday, but we'll get to that. We
will get to that. I wanted to quickly mention Michael Smith. He's had a bad February.
He's had a bad time of it since he signed the new deal, to be honest, hasn't he? And you could argue the same for Stephen Kingsley. The frustration from me comes, it is a poor goal to concede, but it's more so after what happens when we equalise, because again, it's like I don't want to say that we're content with a 1-1 draw, but we don't carve anything out to try and win the game until very late on in this circumstance.
I was about to say, yeah, I would have, if you just left it as we didn't carve anything out, I would have felt it a bit harsh. But yeah, we left it very, very late
and it's
to do so.
It baffles me, mate, because I don't know whether this is absolute nonsense, but I wanted to sort of gauge this from you.
This will be absolute nonsense. I'm saying this now.
Well, I've got a little theory as to why what's happening is happening.
Oh,
because
God.
No, just hear me out. Journalists and sort of other outsiders talk about how we can't seem to break teams down, that our opposition, sit in against us and whatever. I just feel as though, this is just my personal opinion, if opposing teams were to nick points against us on a regular basis, they'd be pressing us a lot more often and sort of looking to retrieve the ball back, because we're so prone to a mistake at the back. It's unbelievable. And I wanted to ask you, why is that the case? Because I see Mihai Popescu get a rough time on Twitter for the most part, but that's just singling somebody out in my eyes.
Well, my opinion is that it's more emblematic of the team system in this 4-2-3-1. So, when we get the ball in the 4-2-3-1, Kingsley and Smith they don't cut in, because often Smith and Kingsley are out balls, but often, particularly Smith, you see cut into the middle of the park. You saw it against Wraith for the first goal, where he just drives into the middle, plays a 1-2 with Boyce, and he ends up in their 18-yard box.
Is that just because nothing's on for the most part, though?
Well, maybe that could be it, where Smith just kind of takes it into his system. But the reason takes it on himself, sorry. The reason I don't think that is the case is because the team works around it. So, when Smith drives, because Popescu typically has been on the right-hand side of the two this season, when Smith kind of pushes forward, Popescu goes across to cover, and that just leaves giant gaps in the middle of the park. We seem just completely scared to play the ball through the middle. We always go wide. The main thing was that on Friday night, everything was coming down the same one side. We never went out to the other.
It was the left for the most part, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
through
absolutely.
GMS and Kingsley.
It was.
Do you think that Smith... Sorry, mate. Do you think that Smith sort of shifts inside because he's not that comfortable with Castanier or whoever's on the right-hand side?
It could be. I will be honest, I can't remember if he did it as much when we had Ginnelly in front of him. I can't actually remember that.
To be honest, he's been doing that for ages anyway, though. No matter who's been on that flank or whoever's gaffer.
He has, which is why I think it is more emblematic. That answers the question of why do we keep continually losing goals. I'm not saying it's Smith's fault. I'm saying we don't have the centre halves
to recover from these.
To recover. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, you saw it with a goal. We had the ball, and then Popescu had driven it forward and lost the ball, so then Smith had to do the cover that Popescu normally does for him, and it was a simple ball over the top. And then it happened, as you said, it happened kind of a few times during the match where all they have to do is play a simple ball through the middle, and we just panic completely. And I think that's where the problem is, because for most of the season, I would say, like you said, people singling out Popescu on Twitter, I'd say a lot of the anger has come towards players in the middle of the park. Yes, we've had players like the four wingers, GMS, Castanier, Freer and Roberts, have had their critics and stuff like that, but people are just kind of like, in my opinion, people's approach to the wingers are just, they're rubbish. They're rubbish, like. Whereas to Halliday, Irving, Popescu, Halkett, Walker when he's played through the middle, and Naismith, it's more anger towards them, because we look to them and going, you're meant to be the spine of the team, and we're often conceding through what is meant to be the strongest part.
Why do you think we're so dismissive towards the wide men then? Because it's amazing what Jordan Roberts can do with a bit of confidence. There he is, scoring and assisting for Motherwell at Easter Road.
But wait the now though, because he had a good game in the Dundee game where he got 2 assists as well. I've seen some people be like,
that's true.
he's class now. It's like everybody's got to have a good game
once every so often. Yeah,
absolutely. Elliot Frears scored 3 this season. Like, that doesn't suddenly mean he's great.
Did Elliot Frear not score on his last appearance for us, and then he's just been totally omitted for whatever reason?
The last game I remember him having any impact on was Alloa away, and he definitely scored.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he then played after that.
I'm convinced he's not since then. That's maybe one for, I don't know, the statisticians or whoever, London Hearts and what have you, but I'm convinced that's the case.
Sure.
I don't know why. I've no doubt that we'll discuss the midfield, because that again just seems to be the problem area for me. Well,
this is the thing.
And it's centre half.
Yeah, I think Halliday has been our worst signing of the season. For one main reason. He's stayed in the team the whole season. So Frear and Roberts have been rubbish, but they're gone now. Roberts is away at a different club, and Frear seems to have just been
with
totally
Josh Ginnelly, who's obviously had his season cut short and whatever.
Yeah, and Ginnelly had a great impact. Yeah. Popescu has been pretty rubbish, but Berra is worse, so we kind of have to play Popescu because we have no one else. Whereas Halliday has just, even though we have, in my opinion, better players than him on the bench. For example, on the bench on Friday night was Andy Irvine and Peter Haring, who are both better than him. Andy Halliday just inexplicably gets almost every game. Even when we had Ollie Lee, it was Ollie Lee and Andy Halliday. Even though we've got Haring and Irving on the best. He's been one of our best players this season. I know Irving's not had a great couple of games, but Halliday I don't think has had a great... I don't think Halliday's had a run of 2 games where he's been good.
No, and you could argue that he's performed in the bigger games better than the perceived weird ones. I've said this before, and it has to be the only logical explanation for me, is the fact that Robbie has signed him. So it's like he's sort of proven to people why he signed him. I could not believe he stayed on the park for as long as he did before Andy Irving had to come on. You know, when we're crying out for that little bit of creativity, Irving's the only one, and now maybe McInnes now as well. Halliday and Haring aren't creative influences, not in the same way that Irving and McInnes are. So I can't believe that it was just... If you're having Halliday on, to me, it seems as though he's going to intercept passes in front of the back four. You know, he does all the dirty work. We should be chasing the 3 points. Why was he still on the park for so long?
For me, though, Haring can do everything Halliday does, but also has that composure and ability to move us forward.
And can pop up with a goal, whether it be from a set piece or that as well. Yeah,
absolutely. But Haring is so crucial, and it's why I just don't understand why he's not been allowed to. If the reason is that he didn't perform in Ayer's in the Ayr game and like the first half of the Dundee game, and then that's been it, he's not been seen since. If that is the reason, I physically could not disagree with that more. Peter Haring is still the best player at this club on his day. I don't understand why you don't play him, because one, in this league, it gives him basically a free 9 games to get up to speed for next season, where he should be starting in the Premiership for us. But just from like a playing perspective, as I said, he's better than Halliday in every single facet of his game. In both tough tackling, he's stronger than Halliday, he's smarter than Halliday. Halliday's a fucking idiot. Like, we're meant to have brought in Andy Halliday to get in the minds of people and be like the Scott Brown equivalent. He's not. Willie Gibson had him at Queen of the South, and that was just emblematic of the whole season. But also what he does when he's partnered with Irving, which I'd like to see, is it gives Irving that creative outlet to just be able to go forward and not bomb forward, like that's more McInnes' job, which is why I'd like to see them as a 3. But it gives Andy creative license to take a few more risks, because Haring can just go, no, you're fine, I'm sat in front of this back four, I'm keeping...
push on and whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think Big Pete is our best player on his day?
Yeah, on his day, I think the only other player that could come close to it is Boyce, but we obviously haven't really seen Herring and Boyce play together ever, really.
I couldn't tell you who our best player is. My answer's probably Craig Gordon.
Gordon, that's what I mean. That's
how can our best player be our goalkeeper?
I would say Boyce and Gordon both impact the game arguably as much as each other.
Yeah, I'd fully go
if you know what
that.
I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean. But, because this is the thing, if you said you've got a spine of Craig Gordon, John Souttar, Peter Herring and Liam Boyce, I'd be delighted with that.
Again,
and currently...
No, go on.
We only miss one part of that puzzle, but inexplicably we're playing as if we're missing two parts of it.
Do you know, I mean, you saying that is that's nearly a perfect five-a-side team, but it still misses that creative influence, no?
It does, but that's what I mean. So then you just play Irving alongside Herring. So you've got that spine, and then coming off it, you've got Kingsley and Smith, and then as you go a wee bit forward, you've got Irving in the middle, McInnes driving forward, and then off Boyce you can play a partner.
Honestly, it actually... It baffles me how this group of players have now recorded 3 games without a win in a division that we believe we're better than. You know, it's like... I've spoken about the perceived playing budget, the array of supposed talent that we have, the facilities available to us. I cannot for the life of me put my finger on why we're... And I don't want to even say continuing to struggle, because we're unbeaten in 6. But it's 3 wins and 3 draws, which could easily be 4-2, 5-1, or 6 from 6.
Well, we did get a draw from later on in that first half. Aaron McInnes played a horrific free kick in from a dead ball, and then the ball bobbled and bounced to him, and he played a fantastic ball in that was nodded down by Halkett. Very much a striker's finish by Boyce, which I initially didn't celebrate, as I was like, he was offside there.
Yeah, I thought he was as well.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way this is getting given. But it's a fantastic call from the linesman, as he is onside. Fair play. And we get back in it. That is now Liam Boyce 1 goal away from matching Osman Soul's record in the Championship last season. And theoretically, if he does it this weekend against Dundee, he will have done it in 6 games quicker. How good is he?
Wow. Very, very good. And this comes back to the two up top, because you could see it earlier on in the season, and I was convinced that he needed a partner to create space, but you dread to think where we'd be without him, eh? Like, really.
That was actually more the better question. Where would we be without Liam Boyce? Because that is now, in the last 4 games, 3 of them he has been the only goal scorer, and out of 9 possible points that we could have lost, he's salvaged 7.
Jeez. Well, and between him and Jamie Walker recently, we'd be up shit creek. Even the sort of chances between goals, like, we could have easily been 2 down as well. How Shane Sutherland doesn't score following that scramble in the box, I'll never know. And our only real chance, you know, we're on about sort of not creating chances till late on. The first half hour we were dreadful, but the only sort of chance before the equaliser that we had was a Popescu header from a corner where he makes a brilliant run, but ultimately should score.
But can we stop doing this? Why do we keep aiming for him at corners? See, in the second, I can kind of understand it in the first half, even though Halkett is right there and has scored hunners for us, most notably from corners. But in the second half, when we had Nandwilly, we kept aiming for Mihai.
It's as though we're desperate to get him like a first goal or whatever, eh? It's mad.
We're treating him like a striker who needs to get that first goal before kicking on.
It's you could even hear his frustration in the one that sailed out the first half. But I'm not gonna lie, I thought our goal was pretty fortunate, because McInnes initially tries to shoot and score, and it is a great ball in, but there's fortune with it coming back to him. I don't care what anybody says. Do you know say so?
Of course. Absolutely, but it just is. It's almost more exciting, and I like it more that he was rubbish from a dead ball scenario, but when the ball is like moving fast and coming towards him at speed, he somehow improved and got even better.
Well, listen, if he had both, he wouldn't be here. He'd be at a much higher level. So there is a reason why he plays for Hearts and not higher up.
That is definitely true. However, let's focus on him, because I feel like he has been one of the few bright spots of the last 3 games.
Totally agree. Yeah, I really like the look of him, and doesn't seem to be scared to take on possession. He was even filling in at right back at some stage, like later on in the game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, no, just I really like him. Good bit of energy in there, and his range of passing I don't think's as bad as maybe I've seen some shouts. So yeah, he and Irving would be an interesting pair for me in the middle of the park. I'd quite like to see that at the weekend. But again, I think the best thing about him is probably this versatility in that he can sit in front of the back 4, but in my eyes, he's better pushed further up.
Definitely. There was a moment in the game that I was just like, oh, I like you. Because we had a free kick in the first half that Kingsley took, and there was such a big build-up. It was like, I think, because I was listening to Laurie's commentary, and Laurie and Rob were like, oh, well, he's got a couple of goals from this position. He's done very well. And maybe he'll find it. And he hits the wall, and it was rubbish. And then about 25 minutes later, we get a free kick in the second half in a roughly similar position, and Kingsley kind of goes to pick up the ball, and McInnes picks it up and doesn't even look at Kingsley and just takes it himself. And I was like, I like that. I like that he's only been here a week or something. It feels like he's only been here a week, and he's already got the confidence to be like, nah, I'm doing this.
Was that where it was kind of on the left-hand side, but it favoured a right footer, an in-swinger, rather than... Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I know what you mean now. Yeah, I like him. Really, really like him. And again, just hope that we can find a wee partner for him, to be fair.
Absolutely. Well, another man that I've, on this podcast, mentioned how much I like, Armand Nanwale. He came on again. He's still not up to full fitness, as Robbie has detailed. However, again, I just thought he provided something different, and there was one moment where I can't remember who it was, but he took out the Inverness player, our player, and got the ball cleanly in a defensive tackle in our own half.
Yeah, he seems to be I was going to say a nuisance in both boxes, but he's a help, obviously, defensively. And offensively, it seems like the best yet to come as well, which is really encouraging. There was a couple opportunities he had later on. There's one where he takes a lovely spin and evades his marker, and he sort of drags it looking for the far post, and how somebody doesn't slide in late on. Honestly, from an offensive, perspective, they can't assume that it's goal bound. I think anybody sliding in gets any sort of decent contact, and we nick yet another, largely undeserved 3 points. But it just,
I think a part of it
seems a real nuisance for opposition defenders, definitely.
After that, you see Boyce turn to him and shout at him as Nanwale is shouting back at Boyce, and I think Boyce's point is that Nanwale didn't cross it, but he also didn't shoot. So
he's just chucked it in the mixer, isn't he?
Yeah. It's kind of too fast for a cross, because Boyce is desperately trying to get it, but it's going too fast. But it's not on target for a shot, so Boyce is kind of going, pick one. If you're going to play a ball in, don't shoot it at us, kind of thing.
But I actually think he's done the right thing there and just chucking it in and see what happens. I feel as though Boyce, and there's somebody else that slides in at the back stick. I don't know if it's like
I can't remember
Gary Mackay-Steven or somebody.
I think it might be Gary, yeah.
But it just, why not gamble and just take that chance? It just, I don't know. But for the most part, I mean, that would have been a real smash and grab, which would have been hilarious for the most part.
It would have been. You've actually just mentioned someone who I totally forgot about. But was this probably Gary Mackay-Steven's best outing for us so far?
I'm glad that you were going to say so, because for me it definitely was. 100%. I wouldn't say he looked his former self, but seemed willing to take on opposition players. I feel as though he and Stephen Kingsley will be a really nice partnership down the left-hand side. I just hope that it comes to fruition, because this was a signing that I was really on board with, GMS. And for the most part, he has underwhelmed so far. But yeah, just seemed to be willing to drive, willing to make stuff happen. Yeah, and just hopefully he can provide the service to Boyce or Nandule or whoever, and hopefully gets sufficient service himself, because I do believe that he can contribute for us. And to be honest, if he were to use this, what is it, the remaining 9 games you say?
Yeah. If
he uses this as a sort of pre-season for the Premiership, then that's fine. That's totally cool with me.
I agree. I think I sometimes speak about them. Everybody knows that Newcastle are my English team, and in 2015-16, when Newcastle were relegated to the Championship, they signed Christian Atsu.
Oh, honking.
And he really disappointed in the Championship. However, that first season back up in the Premiership, 16-17, he was really good for them. He played something like 25 games and had like 6 goals and 9 assists or something like that. Like a decent return for a wide player. And I remember a lot of Newcastle fans, particularly my mate who is from Newcastle, he was just like, it's weird, it is almost as if he is playing better in the higher division. And I kind of feel it that way about GMS, where I think he'll get more space in behind, so he'll be able to do those runs.
Yeah, I could see that. Again, it's sort of, I don't know. Do you feel as though when we get promoted, maybe this sort of ties into what you're saying, do you feel as though when we get promoted, opposition will look at us as sort of like I don't want to say an easy touch per se, but like underestimate us?
Yes, but not in the mentality side of it. I don't think they'll go into any game, anyone in that league will go into a game going, oh, it's hard, that's easy. What I think they'll go into a game is going, we can get something from this, so won't sit in near, because every single team in this league, we're their cup final, so they just massively sit in, will try and play balls in over the top and just try and nick a point. That'll be their base aim, and then if they go ahead, it's like, right, try and get these 3 points, but a draw will still take. Whereas in the top flight, I don't think that'll be, there won't be that attitude where it'll be banks of 4-5-1 or just complete flat 5-4-1 and stuff like that. I think teams will play, and that's where we've done best this season. We've played Celtic and Hibs, and they were 2 of our best performances because they were teams that came at us. It was very similar to the way Stendhal worked, where we seemed to perform better. As we record this, is the 1-year anniversary of us beating Rangers in the Cup. We played better against teams that had a go, because Stendhal's style of football was just constantly attacking, so you were able to get in behind teams like Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, Aberdeen and stuff like that. But against teams like St Mirren, Hamilton, St Johnstone, who were really stuffy and would sit in and soak up pressure, it was really hard. So that's why I think certain players who, like Gary Mackay-Steven, who perhaps this season won't look as good, I'm kind of going to wait until next season to judge them, because I think they will be able to have a better emphasis. And I know some people will go, well, why aren't you doing that for Andy Halliday? And it's like, because Andy Halliday's position and job won't change when we're in the Premiership.
You've literally just nicked my exact train of thought. I was going to ask, are you going to file Andy Halliday in that category? That's a no.
No, because his job is going to stay the exact same. The thing that will change is the style of play. It'll be more open, hopefully, and it'll benefit wingers. It won't really affect tough tackling, and I use all the quotations in the fucking world to describe Andy Halliday as tough tackling. Centre midfielders.
Be interested to see if he's on open goal this week.
Right, this is the thing, right? Let's talk about that, because we've never covered it.
We haven't. I think it's primarily because we don't want to get shot down or shoot down another podcast. So, but
we don't. But this is the thing, right? I don't really listen to Open Goal.
I do religiously. I love it.
Yeah, you're a big fan. I just don't like. I like Kevin Kyle. I just personally don't like the humour, and I just don't like how it's very dominated by the old firm. I just don't care about that.
That's
However,
go on.
a lot of people. Is it a lot of people? Loud minorities, maybe on Twitter.
The Hearts Daz.
The Hearts Daz is a good way of summarising it, because they're probably of that age range as well. Are unhappy with the fact that Andy Halliday underperforms on a Saturday, then on Monday he's on the Open Goal podcast having a laugh, being really excited and happy about Rangers and how well they're doing, and occasionally laughing about things that happen during our games and stuff like that.
Whilst sort of dismissing our games for the most part. You know, he gets asked a couple questions by Sai, but that's really as far as it goes.
Absolutely, and that, as I say, that is the reason I don't listen to it, because I prefer other avenues to get social media. I prefer View from the Terrace and stuff like that, because I just like that it's more all-encompassing. However, I have quite strong opinions on this subject, but I'll come to you first. Do you either care about Halliday being on Open Goal, or doing... It's kind of more of a discussion about his media appearances in general, because he's also been on Sportsline and stuff like that. If you do care, why? And do you think it matters to his playing ability?
You know, it's a funny one, because I discussed it on the Talk Scottish Football Championship show with my mate Dave, who's a Dunfermline fan, and he asked me about it. Do you know, I'm not really that bothered. I think because he made a great point in that if you play in Scotland, you're not really set for life unless you're at sort of the old firm, and even then, to an extent, you're not really. So I don't mind that he's got other avenues. You know, I just see it as him discussing football with his mates. The bugbear for me, the only real one that I've got, the only real annoyance that I've got, is if he doesn't perform at the weekend and is then on there sort of, I don't know, the whole stuff with kind of Willie Gibson, that annoyed me, because ultimately he was poor against Queens and had no right to really slag Willie Gibson off, given for the most part he was dominated by him in that match, along with, you know, countless others. My gripe is kind of, this is not anything towards Open Goal per se, but if Andy Halliday was a Rangers player, there's absolutely no way that he'd be on that every week. And I don't know whether the club have been sort of too soft in that regard, or whether the club don't really care. But to me, he's their employee, and I know that there'll obviously be, you know, clauses within his contract, and for his own sake, he's hardly going to turn around and slag off Hearts. But it just seems as though Rangers are sort of his main focus, despite still being a Hearts player. Do you get that same feeling?
I don't know is the answer to that question. I don't know if he's prioritising Rangers over...
Does it annoy you that he's on there?
I could not give a shit. Andy Halliday is rubbish, whether or not he goes on Open Goal. It doesn't affect his performance, as some suggest, because it's not like if he sat on his arse at home, just silently getting angry about the result, then he'd suddenly be good. Likewise, if we do really well and he goes on speaking about us, it doesn't suddenly make him play even better. Like, and again, we were speaking to some individuals from This Is My Story podcast during the week, over the weekend, about media and about the way football fans and pundits consume media. I personally have never understood the obsession with interviews with either managers or players. I don't care what they say at all. I never care if they're positive or negative. I literally could not care less, because it's not genuine. It's different to what they think. And a lot of the anger towards Andy Halliday, as you just suggested there, was like when he has a laugh about the Willie Gibson stuff, or he focuses more on Rangers doing well than us and stuff like that. Whereas my opinion is just, I don't care what he has to say, because he would be doing it in his own house. Obviously not just now in the current circumstances with his mates, but he would be texting his mates, be on the phone to his mates speaking about it. Why is it different just that we're seeing it? Like, it just, for me, I just don't get it. Like, who cares? I can understand when, like, some people will be like, if we got beat by Hibs in that semi-final, right, and he was on it laughing after it, I'll get that because it's a derby. But I think you would get that with any Hearts fan about any Hearts player doing anything in the media so soon after a derby defeat. Much like you would have any fan. It's not just a thing to us. I just think it's very much an argument of people who are against this new wave of footballer and media. And as you were saying there, it is a justified point that playing in Scotland does not guarantee you for life. He's clearly good at punditry, whatever you'd call it. He's good at podcasting.
I quite like listening to him, to be honest.
Yeah, like, he's better at that than he is at football. So, like, he's got that going for him. Why doesn't he just stop being a footballer and go and do that full time?
Just retire at 29 or whatever he is.
Is that how... He can't be that young.
I think he's about 29, 30, is he not?
Oh, he's going to be here for years.
No, he's only signed a 2-year contract. Anyway,
fuck for that.
I was going to ask you a couple questions, because I was going to ask you firstly, what do you make of him streaming? Because I've obviously hopped into a couple of your streams on Twitch, and I asked him whether he'd like to come on Perth to Paisley on one of his Twitch streams. I discovered it by accident. I didn't even know that he was doing it, because I was tuning into my pal Ryan, who's a Celtic fan. He plays kind of Football Manager and other stuff, and I was tuned into one of his streams, and I just conveniently saw in like the recommended channels tab down the bottom left Halliday, and I thought surely not. Had a little sort of opened up another tab to have a wee look, and right enough there he is playing FIFA or Call of Duty or whatever. So I wanted to ask you about that. And secondly,
fair play to him.
But do you get the impression that, again, if and when we get promoted, that the club might, I don't want to say rein it in, but do you feel as though these appearances are then less frequent?
Well, particularly streaming, I think that's really harsh.
No,
if he was told you can't stream.
No, of course. I mean on Open Goal, like
maybe
and Sports Sound and whatever. Because we're saying Open Goal, or I'm saying Open Goal. Stephen Naismith and Craig Gordon have been on Sports Scene just about every other weekend.
I was just about to say that.
So,
just about to say that never gets the attention that Halliday does, and it is because Halliday's Naismith has not been good this season, but Naismith has more kind of goodwill from Hearts fans because of the seasons he's been here,
and he's the club captain at the end of the day, I suppose.
Absolutely, and he isn't as known for being a Rangers daft guy or anything like that, whereas Halliday's kind of entire brand is that he is a Rangers fan. I don't know, obviously it might be a thing that they've said to Halliday, listen, you can do Open Goal while we're in the Championship, but when we go up you can't do it. I just don't care, but that's because I think you're giving Andy Halliday too much credit to suggest that his performances are affected by his podcasting.
You don't think it'll have an effect anyway?
No, I just think he's rubbish and he could do anything and it wouldn't affect it.
I'm convinced we're yet to see the best from him. At least
I think you're right, because the best was 5 years ago.
Wow.
So we're never going to see the best because we don't have time travel.
Wow. Do you not even feel
No, I was about to move on, but you're still. What is this argument for Andy Halliday going to be?
No, I was going to say for the bigger clashes, I feel like he'll be all right, and I feel like he's one of those that might thrive off the crowd. He's spoken about that beforehand. No,
that's not a good enough excuse.
No, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that because Tynecastle is full every second, he can only do it in front of 20,000+. No, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Maybe we should gauge other people's responses, but then I feel like that could be a lot of abuse being fired my way. And to be honest, I'm not got the emotional strength for that just yet.
You say that, I get loads of abuse for insulting Halliday. So there is a camp of people
Oh well,
I don't know what's wrong with him.
Tweet Daniel your abuse with your thoughts regarding Halliday.
I'm not, because people's main argument is that I single him out. And my point is, he's part of currently a side that is doing it's currently meeting the
expectation
kind of expectation that has been set out before the start of the season. Win this league. The squad is currently doing it. However, it's not doing it in the way that Hearts fans want, so they're naturally going to pick out. And people will say to me, for example, I got this tweeted to me on Friday night, why don't you get annoyed at Naismith as much? Now, Naismith infuriates me this season, but I've got years of backed up love for Stephen Naismith over the past few years, where he was our player of the year, he scored that goal against Hibs and stuff like that. Like, I have memories associated with Stephen Naismith of positivity. I don't have a single... Halliday has done nothing that makes me go, yes, get in, Andy Halliday. Like, but I have nothing attached to him.
But my attachment with Stephen Naismith's, I don't want to say he's ruining his legacy, so to speak, but I just find myself becoming so infuriated with him. And I love Stephen Naismith, I really do. He's been a breath of fresh air virtually since he joined the club. He was exactly what we needed at the time, but now I just feel as though it's more a hindrance than a help, to be honest.
I think he's a good impact sub, much like Walker.
As do I, but nothing more than that. I mean, I could not believe that he was actually given the nod on Friday night. And I know you're going to say with the Walker stuff, but...
I couldn't believe he was given the nod either, but I just wouldn't have played Walker. I would have played McInnes in his position.
I felt as though Jamie Walker had done enough to earn a start, personally.
I just personally don't want to see Jamie Walker start at all this season, because he's been awful whenever he has, and he's been arguably one of our best players when he's come off the bench. Now, I will say, he was hopeless when he came on Friday. He did nothing. Well, his first thing was that he passed it straight back to an Inverness player.
This is what I was going to ask. Do you feel as though coming off the bench, he's got that incentive to prove that he can sort of contribute in a way, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
It's not like if he's chucked in from the start and all the onus is on him to create. You know, I don't know whether it's... He obviously can cope with the pressure of playing for Hearts, but maybe it's a sort of... I don't know. The chance to be a hero off the bench appeals to him more, or... Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. I just also think the style of player he works better as an impact sub, particularly in this league, where it's someone who'll drive, someone who has fresher legs and stuff like that. And because the problem is, Jamie has never had pace. Even when he was young, he never had pace. That was more Nicholson than King. He was just kind of the more technical player. And as he's got older, he's lost whatever pace he had because of his injuries. So when you bring him on as an impact, as a sub, it kind of negates that barrier, because the players around him are knackered, so they're kind of at his base level of pace. So he then is like on equal footing with them and is more switched on. Like, players who've been playing for 70 minutes might miss a wee turn that he does, as we saw against Dunfermline. Against Morton, he gets himself into a good position that maybe would have been picked up in the first 20 minutes of the game or something like that. I just feel both Walker and Naismith's best roles are just now in the team as impact subs, and I feel that you can't do that with both of them. So one of them is either going to be sacrificed, or you have to force them into the starting 11 just to plan to bring somebody else on in the 65th, 70th minute.
Interesting.
I'm not saying that's a good system. I'm saying that's the system we currently have.
That's fair enough. Do you think, what are you sort of wanting to see? I don't know. Walker, that was never really an issue for Walker in his first sort of spell, though.
It wasn't, but he's older and has no knees now.
I don't know. Do you know what's funny? I was thinking about this earlier on as we were talking. Do you remember the episode that we did with Cammy? And we were going through sort of our season predictions and whatever. And I was
thinking about it earlier, because currently I'm spot on.
I said that Jamie Walker would be our player of the year. I'm also trying to think about the amount of games that we'd predict that Hearts would win, draw and lose. I'd be astounded if
find
any
them.
of us are anywhere near it. I think Cammy had the most losses out the trio of us. So
And we
that'll be
mocked
interesting
them.
when
We mocked them for it as well.
I know we've
were
got to
like,
get him back
what
on.
are you on about?
Once the league's wrapped up, we'll get him back on and we can just go through it.
I absolutely have it somewhere. Like, I don't know where I have it, but
I'm convinced you took a note.
got. I did. I definitely did. I just can't mind. It just doesn't help that I can't remember when exactly that podcast actually. Oh, I've got it. Right. So, play.
We'll come to the crunch stuff with him, but there's bound to be some shockers. What's the worst shout? Just give us the worst shout out the lot, and it's bound to be one of mine.
Player of the season, Jamie Walker. No, actually, I know what it is. Oh, Adam, all yous are a nightmare, mate. All yous are so bad. Breakout player. Do you remember who you said?
Oh, I know who I said, I think.
Who?
Is it somebody that's currently rotting because they're out on loan and they
Yeah.
can't play? Chris Hamilton, I think I said. Was it?
It is Chris Hamilton.
Yeah. In fairness, that was before his loan move. The first loan move.
True.
But,
Also,
yeah.
Adam, amount of losses, 2. We've already surpassed that.
Did I only say 2?
See, 2 losses.
I thought I said like 3 or 4. Oh dear.
No, you said 2. But anyway, we'll get to that at a later date. However, finally, we do have. I can't believe we've managed to stretch all that conversation out over 50 minutes.
Well, funnily enough, this is one of the sides that we lost to.
Oh God, aye.
That we
However,
can take on again.
it's also at the venue that we battered them and had one of our best performances as, inexplicably still, James McPake's Dundee arrives at Tynecastle. Before we get into that, how is James McPake still Dundee manager?
I believe I tweeted something similar to that at the weekend. I mean, they drew 2-2 away at Morton. They've got Inverness, I think, at Dens the night that this gets released, Tuesday night. So that'll be interesting. Neil McCann heading back to Dens, maybe come back to haunt Dundee. You never know. So, but yeah, they are struggling Albion. I mean, they are miles off it. They might. I mean, they've got games in hand on Queen of the South, and in fairness, they seem to be the new Inverness in that they never play. But when they do, they are rank rotten. So naturally, I'm expecting them to grab at least a point at Tynecastle.
Oh yeah, of course. We're not going to win, but I would just like to quickly say something actually. At the weekend, I tweeted saying that I don't understand Dundee and Dunfermline fans laughing at us. As, yes, we're rubbish, but if we're rubbish, what does that say about those two teams? And I know, and somebody was like, well, a Dundee fan was like, well, we've got 3 games in hand, so therefore, what happens if we win all them? And I was like, okay, fine, I'll entertain that for a second. Let's say you win all 3 games. I don't think they will win all 3 games in hand.
They're still
but
9 points. They're still 9 points off us.
Exactly.
And they were
So
meant to be
fine.
the closest challengers. I think it's worse from a Dundee perspective.
Absolutely. Dunfermline can at least go well. Nobody really expected us to challenge Hearts. But Dundee, James McPake, given it all that, was like, they're not that good a squad. We'll be able to compete with them. And right now, as we record this, they are 18 points behind us.
Yeah, with the 3 games in hand. Which, and to be honest, if you were looking at it, do you really fancy them against Inverness on Tuesday night at home?
Nah.
Probably not. Then they're away to us, away to Dunfermline, which is massive. And then Arbroath at home. Arbroath are on a wee bit of a run as well. So this is before they slap us 3-0 at the weekend thanks to Jason Cummings' hat-trick.
Oh, it's going to be 6-2 the other way round. Like, absolutely. But yes, we do have Dundee. They're coming to Tynecastle. I ask you this every week, and we kind of get the same thing, but what would you like to see?
2 up front. 2 up front, 2 up front, 2 up front. I'd like to see...
In what formation?
You're going to hate me. I'd like to see us go 4-4-2.
Right, I'm fine with that as long as you give me a good reasoning well, not a good reasoning, but a good, succinct four in midfield. Who are you playing in that midfield?
Right, sound. So, Gordon in goal. Back four.
We've went back to Gordon. Who are you playing in midfield? Craig Gordon.
No, back four as standard, just to obviously get us there.
Well.
Oh, you're going to suggest
standards.
like Haring at centre half or something?
No, all I'm saying is it's not going to be standard, regardless if he plays a four.
Oh, because of Michael Smith, of course.
We don't have Michael Smith, probably.
Oh,
we don't
great.
know, but probably we don't.
Oh, forgot all about that. Oh,
3-5-2. Come on.
He's not going to go 3-5-2.
He's going to play. He's going to play Popescu right back, which he said he will do, and either move Kingsley. So I think he'll move Kingsley across, and Eddie White will play left back.
Well, I'd rather that than see Berra come back in. Right. Okay. So, right. Well, this has made a right mess. So Gordon in goal, Eddie White left back, Kingsley and Halkett in the middle, Popescu right back. We'll just go with that. Oh God, this is going to be horrendous. GMS on the left deserves to keep his place. Andy Irving and Aaron McInnes in the middle.
I thought you were going to write mid next, and when you went Andy Irving, I was like, he's lost the plot.
No,
he doesn't understand football anymore.
Don't want a single sort of sitting midfielder or a defensive-minded central midfielder, because we're against Dundee, who quite frankly are rank rotten at the back. I know they're sort of decent going forward, but
I was about to say though that isn't the issue there. You create an issue for our defence with not having a holding midfielder.
Well, guess what? It's going to be raining goals in Gorgie. How about that? Who the hell do I start on the right?
This is my point.
Oh God. Oh, I really don't know.
This is my point.
Do you know what? I'll keep casting here. I'll give him a chance. It's too early to write him off.
Man than me.
It's too early, and then Nandy
I agree
Boyce up front.
I agree with it. Well, guess what?
3-5-2.
No.
Oh, where are you going?
I'm breaking out a diamond.
Oh,
A narrow diamond.
wow. So you said to me earlier on that GMS has had his best game in Maroon so far, but you're going to drop him.
No.
Oh, top of the diamond?
Top of the diamond in the 10.
Oh, I like it. Go on then, and
So,
enlighten us with the rest of your team. Yeah, I mean,
Gordon in goals.
it makes no difference because he's not going to select either of our teams. But
It's going to be 4-2-3-1.
oh, of course it is. Of course it is. But on you go. Sorry.
But just for a laugh, Gordon in goals. Eddie White, Kingsley, Halkett, Popescu as a back four. Peter fucking Haring as a holding mid. McInnes and Irving as a 2. GMS as a 10. Boyce and Nandwilly.
I quite like the sound of that.
Gives you protection because Haring's there. McInnes and Irving can drift wider, not go out wide, but just go wider, and it allows. I mean, Popescu just fucking runs about anyway, so he can just run about up the right hand side. Eddie White is class at attacking.
This would have been a better system for Smith as well. The way this is why it's annoying.
It would have been. I would have loved if Smith can play.
Yeah.
Then the narrow diamond works even better.
Yeah,
Like,
100% agree. But he's never going to select that. I mean, I know he's talked about sort of a
we
4-1-3-2
changed to a
in
diamond
essence.
though.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we changed to it in the first half, and we scored and looked good.
And then instantly goes back, and you're like, oh, thanks.
Honestly, I just think a narrow diamond could work. Even at least try. I think at home is the best time to try it as well.
Mind you, we spoke about defensive vulnerability. If the fullbacks are converting to wing backs and pushing up, are you suggesting that Haring then drops back and whatever?
Yeah, it allows Haring to just drop back into a 3.
Alright, I see what you're saying.
See, I've got this all figured out. Why has he not done it yet?
Oh God.
Every week I come onto this, offering different formations with different styles of play. It's almost as if Robbie Nielsen doesn't listen to this.
You don't say.
I know, unbelievable.
Absolute disgrace. For that, he should be sacked alone.
Exactly. Can I trouble you for a score prediction?
You can, but I've got no idea what I'm going to say. bog standard. We've got to win. We've got to win. 2-1 Hearts.
Interesting, because despite everything I've just said, I was going to go with the same scoreline, but to Dundee.
I'm sighing, but this is reverse psychology from you, innit?
No, well, I hope it is, but I legitimately think we will get beat.
Oh, mate, I swear, if we lose to Dundee at Tynecastle, the torches will be out. I will not be impressed. They are rotten. Absolutely rotten.
Osman Sow coming home. Jason Cummings coming kind of home. Coming back to the Hell Fortress as well. It's a respite. They're going to get one each.
And Charlie Adam battering whoever we've got.
Oh, fuck! I forgot about him and all.
Oh, what a laugh.
Right, he's got to score definitely, or get an assist. He's got to contribute to a goal.
Yeah. Yeah, his record's ridiculous.
But anyway. Oh, wait, though. Wait. I've just thought of the perfect story.
Go on.
Liam Boyce gets a brace and breaks Osman Sow's record as Osman Sow is on the park.
Brilliant.
I'm also going 2-1 Hearts. Liam Boyce brace. Come on.
Oh, we're definitely getting beat now.
Oh, where's the... I was like, yes, optimism. Come on. And you just flipped it on the team.
No, there's absolutely no way. When we give these predictions, I don't think we've ever been right in the history of these predictions. So there's no way that lightning will strike twice, all the stars will align, and we'll both be absolutely bang on. It just doesn't happen.
That would be interesting, actually. If anyone has just nothing better to do, and go back and listen go back and listen to all podcasts for this season and see if either one of us have ever got a score right.
Those slavering bastards on Perth to Paisley said no.
Some folk, right, will do that and get annoyed at us that we didn't get it right.
Brilliant.
I saw somebody today on Kickback say that Smith should be first out the door and Boyce has been poor this season.
No, this is why I left Kickback a long time ago.
This is the thing, right? You might be a Nielsen apologist, you might be a Nielsen out, you might be in the middle. I think we can all, everybody on Twitter can collectively come together and say at least we're not as bad as Kickback.
Well, no.
Maybe you can.
Do you know what?
But
this is the thing. See, when you get folk that are like, oh, I'd love to be on the podcast. I'm like, well, I've not asked you for a specific reason. Yet.
Wow.
No.
Adam's shooting.
No.
Adam's shooting. No. I'm not playing a part of this. And I was not warned about this either.
No. This is just to like a select few folk.
I've stepped back from the mic. I'm getting further away. Adam, this is your time to shine and bury people. Go for it.
I've only been asked by a select few and I'm just like, nah.
Well, now they know who they are because of their select few, so they're going to be listening to this, and Adam hates you. That's the message.
No, I've got folk that I'd like to get on, and
some folk that you definitely don't want to have on at the same time.
And if some folk were to, I don't know, to just rein it in a little bit, then they might get asked on.
Wow.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Wow. Well, listen, I would just like to put it on record that I love each and every one of our listeners. You're all welcome on. We average just under 500 listeners. Let's just have a 500 listener Zoom call.
Oh,
once.
There's no danger my Wi-Fi could cope with that. You have
your
it.
Your Wi-Fi can't cope with our Zoom call half the time.
You have it. You have it in my place. This could be my punishment week for what I've just come out with. I love the Perth to Paisley listeners, but I've just slated some of them. So this could be my week off, and you can invite 500 of your Hearts pals, and you can have some mass discussion about how we've drawn 1-1 at home to Dundee.
And on that shocking note, Adam episode 34, the draws have got to him. Adam's turned on the fan base. It's all happening. However, thank you very much for listening. You've probably turned off by this point out of disgust that you've been targeted by Mr. Kennedy. However, you have been listening to the Perth to Paisley podcast. You can get us on all good podcasting platforms. Please leave us a review on your platform of choice. It massively helps. You can also listen to this on YouTube as well if you want to look at an image for an hour and 5 minutes, whatever you want to do. If you want to give abuse to Adam and call him out, as he has called you out on his platform, Adam, how can they do that?
They can do that on any social network of their choice at Adam T. Kendall. And for the record, I do want to say that I love each and every one of you, regardless of your opinions. That's why we all discuss hearts. We all have different opinions. We're all a big collective family, and we all want the best. That's why we differ. What about yourself, mate?
I'm going to edit that final bit to you saying I hate all Hearts fans. However, I am at McCaggy the Mark. We'll be back next week with all the fallout from the Dundee game. We've also got a segment that we're going to be introducing that's going to be a good discussion point. Ooh. So we will all see you. That was a pathetic woo. I need more excitement than
that was a mysterious woo. Like a woo.
Right. And on that note, we'll see you next time.
Keep the faith, Mother JTs!